So today, as you know, every week we run GIMI Think Tank, which is a weekly platform where we invite a speaker from a different topic, which is related to directly or indirectly to innovation. We talk about innovation state of a country. We talk about a cutting edge trend. We talk about innovation management tools, and basically all the disruptions or innovative solutions that are happening in different industries. We see that innovation is happening everywhere and is shaping as well different functions such as sales and marketing. We see that it's easier and easier to find leads, automate workflows, and we see that today sales and marketing, we see that are more compressed and you can do in one day both, a little bit different than it was 10, 20 years ago. We see different trends shaping these functions such as sales and marketing, like AI and machine learning, which are being used to analyze vast amount of data, predict which prospects are most likely to become customers, and optimize lead generation. We see predictive analytics, which is being used to identify pattern trends in customer behavior and use those data to make informed decisions, or multi-channel marketing, which are involving different social media, content marketing to reach potential customers, or chatbots and live chats, which are being used to engage with prospects in real time. So today we have Rafael Obando, who is head of East Coast and LATAM partnerships from HubSpot. HubSpot is one of the leading platforms in lead generation, but also customer relationship management. He will talk about, and his topic is a little bit provoking, the funnel is dead and meet the flywheel. Rafael helps lead the HubSpot for startups, entrepreneurs, and helping them in extending the reach of inbound strategies in the region. He has launched himself ventures for private investors. He has an MBA from Babson College. And I hope that we can learn more, not only how startups are generating these leads, but also how our audience, which is mostly consulting companies or training companies, in particular on innovation, how we can generate leads fast, how we can capture these leads, and how HubSpot in particular can help us do this. We ourselves, as GIMI and IXL Center Global, we are clients of HubSpot, but we feel that we still haven't leveraged this platform as we should. And we are all eyes and ears to hear more from you, Rafael, how we can optimize basically this platform. And I believe all our CDPs and ambassadors and clients are interested to know more about this. So, Rafael, the floor is yours. Please feel free to add other things on your intro.
Thank you so much. And before we start, I just wanted to thank the GIMI team for this invitation. I'm super happy to be with you all. And I see there's people from all over the place. Every continent, so that's pretty amazing. People also from Brazil. I work a lot with Brazil, with Latin America, the East Coast, so welcome everyone. And as it was mentioned, there's a lot of talk about innovation all the time, but this innovation has always been focused on developing technologies, disrupting a new marketplace, a new space. Today, I want to talk about a concept on how focusing on the customers is going to be one of the best ways in which we can achieve growth. And I mean, Edila mentioned it. A lot of times people don't want to use more of HubSpot, get more of HubSpot. But HubSpot is a gym. HubSpot is something that, you need what to do to get the most out of it. You need the goals, you need the methodologies. So today, we're going to talk about a methodology that we built at HubSpot to achieve this growth, which is called the Growth Flywheel. So right now, this is a fantastic time to be alive because starting a business has never been easier. We have the tools, we have a lot of business friendly rules that are coming out, and we have a bunch of opportunities to bring our value proposition to the different audiences. But also, this means that growing a business has never been more difficult. Why? Because innovating is easier than ever. Going to market is easier than ever, which means that everyone is doing it. So we need to be the one that stand out amongst the crowd. And I want to show you some statistics that this was in 2006 when HubSpot was founded. How much money we needed? Like, we needed first to rent an office. We needed to buy or pay a developer to do our website. We needed to pay for a customer relationship management system, almost $50,000. We also, I don't know if you remember, probably most of you do, that there was a room in every company. There was a room with no windows, and it said only authorized personnel. And there were a bunch of black boxes with blue lights and plenty of cables, entangled cables, dusty cables. This was the servers room. So when we launched in 2006, we had to buy the hardware, the servers, in which HubSpot's traffic was going to live and HubSpot's information. So this was very expensive because would also have to buy a mirror server to have a backup of the information. You needed almost $75,000 for this. And then you would need to pay for the different licenses to being able to develop your software. Move forward in 2019, close to when HubSpot did the IPO, and this is the cost of launching a business. Office space. Who needs office space? If anyone thinks that office space is essential, I think they just missed the last 3 years. Also, if you really need an office, you can go to co-working spaces and pay only by using the premises. You don't need to buy or sign a lease to being able to have an office space. Web development, there's plenty of free tools now available that empower you to build a web page as if it was a PowerPoint presentation. Same with the CRM. There are many, many free tools. I can think of one that I can recommend that can help you manage these customer relationships. The servers, now you can also pay by using, by traffic. It's proportional to how large your company is. And now you can use cloud services to keep your information and the traffic from your company. And finally, most licenses to develop software have gone to zero. So in 2006, if you had this entrepreneurial initiative, this bug, that I want to launch a company and I want to open the doors of this company, you will need to sign a $200,000 check. You will need maybe investors. Not a lot of people have this money on their bank account or can collect this money from the 3Fs of funding, family, fools, and friends. But move forward to today, and most people can launch a business. We only need $1,200. A lot of people have that amount on their bank accounts or can collect that amount from their colleagues or friends and family. So it's more easier than ever just to build something and, open the doors of your company. But it is no longer the case that when you build something, even if it's super valuable, people will come to you. You need the customers. You need to reach those audiences with that product or service that you build. And people would say, hey, where do we begin to look for those customers? And there's plenty of marketing and sales professionals that would show you this image. Who has seen this image here? This is the sales funnel, right? we're going to do marketing to bring a critical mass to our flywheel, to our funnel. We're going to push them through a sales process, and we are going to produce a customer out of this process. But this process is completely broken nowadays. Why? Because as you can see, the customers are not part of this process. They are an afterthought. They are something that we manufacture out of this process. And funnels are great to produce customers, but they forget that this customer can help you grow. And I bet that a lot of you have some experience in sales, right? Maybe you have tried to sell product, new technology, an innovation, an idea. And everyone who has worked in sales knows that getting a customer takes a lot of energy. You have to call people. You have to get meetings. You have to get doors shut in front of you. You have to get meetings canceled, right? There's a lot of energy that you are creating when you get a customer. And to get that customer, once you build this inertia, this energy, boom, you get the customer. Next day, boom, you need to start from zero. Every month, every quarter, every year, you need to build the same amount of energy to being able to get those customers. Also, everyone can relate to this. Do you remember the last time that maybe you were buying a car, clothing, anything? You were talking to a salesperson, right? Did you trust that this person had the best interest in you? Not at all. They have goals, right? They have to sell. So they may say things that are not in your best interest to reach their goals. This is normal. Also, when was the last time that you saw an advertisement on TV and you trusted the message that the brand sent you? We are the best. Do you believe that? We are the cheapest. Maybe. I don't know, right? So people don't trust salespeople, and people don't trust marketers, right? These are the professionals who project the least trust on your consumers. So when we understood this at HubSpot, we went and say, okay, so we have a marketing team, we have a sales team, and we realized that people do not trust what they say. This is so bad because this is the people that we have who is accountable for sending a message, for projecting our brand, for educating our potential customers. And when we send that message to these people, our customers do not trust them. So how did we get all these customers? And we realized that 1/3 of our customers came through word of mouth. They were getting recommendations from other customers, more than Google searches. And let me tell you, we're one of the best positioned companies on SEO. More than people who came from our blog. Our blog is bigger than the New York Times. We have 7 million unique visitors every month. And the blog only brings us 13% of our customers. Everything, almost every customer, 1 in 3, would come because somebody else recommended us. So that's when we realized, hey, if our potential customers, if our leads are trusting our own customers more than ever, why are they not part of our go-to-market strategy? Why are we keeping them apart from our sales process and marketing process? And that's when we realized that the go-to-market should be a round strategy, not a linear strategy, in which we're going to build force by doing marketing. We're going to interact with our potential customers through sales processes, but also we are going to delight these customers through service in order to build more force. And the customers will be at the center of our go-to-market strategies, not apart from them. You can see that funnels, they lose the energy. We're talking about the energy of selling, right? The flywheels, it's a mechanical wheel that will keep this force, will leverage this momentum to keep spinning. If anyone here does maybe, spinning bicycles, right? They know that with one pedal, the wheel will keep spinning because this is a flywheel. It keeps the energy. And every additional pedaling that you do, is going to add force to it. And it's going to add energy to it. And that's why it's so important not to have your customers as an afterthought right here, apart from a process, but keep them at the center. The flywheel has three key principles. First, growth is a function of force. Think of pedaling. The more force you bring to the pedal, the faster the wheel will go, right? And force is how we do sales. Force is how we do marketing. We're adding force to it. But also, as with the spinning bicycles, you can, press the wheel and it's going to be harder to pedal. So the less friction you have, the more growth you will achieve. This is easier to think about. When you have like a really heavy bicycle, or you have close to much that wheel on your spinning session, it's going to be a lot harder to create the same speed. So we need to remove friction from our marketing, sales, and service processes to being able to achieve growth. Friction, what is friction? Think when you need to call a company, right? A big company that has a lot of customers. And they push you through their robot menu on the phone. For X, press 1. If you are a customer, press 2. All that stuff. It's really hard to figure out a way when you have a problem to navigate those menus. That is friction. You're feeling it. As a customer, they're making life very difficult for you. Friction is also a very pushy salesman. He's trying to push you into buying that, right? That's uncomfortable for you. That is friction. Friction in marketing is interrupting. Hey, you want to watch a video on YouTube? 1 second. I'm going to send you a message of a different brand that is not related to your video about you needing to buy something, right? So to be able to understand how to remove friction, you need to understand what are the points of contact with your customer. Is it chat? Is it salespeople? Is it marketing strategies? Is it, I don't know, bots, emails? What can you automate from this? Where can you find shared goals between your teams to align them? And finally, where can you, with these shared goals, reorganize your teams to being able to address them? The third principle of the flywheel is that growth is a function on how scalable your processes are. A lot of companies, when they start to gain traction, they collapse. And this collapse is going to affect a lot their ability to attract and retain customers. And when we talk about scalability, we can think of this guy. This is Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon. A lot of people know him, right? And Amazon has a very scalable flywheel model. Amazon started with a small selection of books that they sold through their platform. This built a good enough customer experience. This customer experience allowed them to bring traffic to their website, and this traffic became attractive to sellers. So more editorial companies wanted to work with Amazon. They wanted to be on that platform. So the selection became wider. With the wider selection, the customer experience became better. And this brought more traffic. This traffic was more attractive, even so, to more sellers who were no longer editorials. They were also, I don't know, retail companies, clothing companies. Now you can buy almost everything through Amazon. And this flywheel of selection, customer experience, traffic, and sellers broke the retail world as we knew it. There was a major, major change in behavior in the world just because Amazon built this scalable model. And let me tell you something. Amazon has like this kind of Bible with 14 principles. And one of these principles is complete and absolute customer obsession. And you could feel it. I remember a long time ago when I was studying, I decided to buy my textbooks from Amazon. These textbooks were super expensive. New concept. So I decided to purchase it from Amazon. And then I get a terrible, terrible message. I get an email that said, we delivered the book to your house. And when I went to look for my book, it wasn't there. I had maxed my credit card in buying this textbook, and they had failed me. My feeling as a customer was terrible. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Amazon is a giant corporation, evil, you know. They must have like this phone menus that make you like press buttons and stuff, and it must be terrible. So I wrote an email to Amazon. I was super angry. I was getting ready for a fight, you know. I was taking pictures of the book not being there, whatever that meant. I was collecting receipts. I was getting ready for a terrible fight with a corporation. And I sent my email. Hey, Amazon, I didn't get my book. 15 minutes passed, and I got an email from Amazon. And I said, oh, here comes the fight. And they said, my apologies. We just sent you a new book, and you should expect to receive it tomorrow. Like, what? What's going on? This was not the way that companies treated people. This is not the way the companies treated their customers. And Amazon didn't ask me a single question, and they just sent me the book again. How did it make me feel as a customer? I can buy anything from Amazon. I will buy everything from Amazon from now on because they removed every single point of friction with me, their customer. One puny customer, right? So all this to say that when you have these processes, it's really important to understand, is it better to create friction and maybe avoid fraud? Because I bet that a lot of people were requesting textbooks from Amazon by lying to them, of course. And if Amazon doesn't ask questions, then they might get scammed. But being able to avoid it would mean that they would create friction for the customers. And I bet that this friction was more expensive to them than the cost of any fraud that would happen through them. So remember when we said, we have an amazing product. We need customers. I want us to play a game, and I want to invite everyone to participate in the chat. This game is called the Founder's Time Machine. And you know, we didn't choose when we were born, right? I didn't choose to be born X amount of years ago, but we did choose to launch a product, to sell a product. This game is the opposite. I'm going to give you a product, you don't choose a product, and you tell me in which year you would sell this product in which century to become a billionaire? Understood? And come on, guys, please don't leave the chat without answer because it becomes really awkward. So first product, mattresses. If I tell you you're a mattress entrepreneur, where in the time would you travel to sell mattresses and become a billionaire? Mattresses were, invented like 3,000 before Christ. So there's a free CRM for the winner. Okay, Vin says after World War II, we were rebuilding the world. People had been displaced from their houses. There was probably a massive amount of need for mattresses. So it's a fantastic time to be a mattress entrepreneur. Anyone else? By the way, Vince, if you're still driving, please don't be the only one who doesn't answer the question. Okay, Ronald went to razors in the 90s. Why, Ronald?
Because that was the first time you could create a worldwide market for disposable razors.
So there was like logistics that would support this amazing being able to reach the whole market, right?
And there was technology that enabled the razor blade to be really a close shave, as opposed to having a barber have to put cream on your face or something.
Exactly. We had the technology. There was a disruption in technology that would allow us to be pioneers.
And just the third thing, not only could we see ways to reduce the friction from a customer, we could create a venturi. It's something we do that combines well with what you do, is create a venturi tube. So there's pull. You're not pushing things down through the funnel. You're pulling them through a venturi by capitalizing on the vacuum that was created because there was no solution.
Fantastic. Yeah, a huge market need without an offer behind it, right? What about glasses like this? They were invented in the 13th century.
But they aren't, to me, they aren't disposable, although Warburg's and somebody else might try to make them so. They're kind of one and done until your eyes start to wobble or something. So yeah, no, I think that's a great one too. But a while ago.
Anyone else? When you can sell cheap into a mass market, yes, of course. When there's enough power, enough infrastructure to reach many audiences. I've seen a lot of examples of answers, for example, with the glasses, that we would go to the, I think it's 14th or 15th century, when books became available. So people would have a huge need to see, of course, more than before. And this would be a fantastic time also to be a glass entrepreneur. So one more, and I'll give you the answers. MP3. When we think of MP3s, they were invented in 86. I was a little surprised about how long ago they were invented. But if we talk about MP3, to which century or decade would we travel to become billionaires?
In M3P3 or an MP3 follow-ups?
Whichever.
MP3 was the platform. Okay.
You sell MP3. To which century you will travel, or decade in this case? If you're shy, you can use just the chat. So Ronald, thank you. 1990.
Because
Yeah.
that's when I wanted to, I would have wanted to be a leader then to create a platform from which I could build the next generation of communication and entertainment devices and be number one forever, Apple.
Pretty much like what Apple did, right?
But I wouldn't want to come in late. I wouldn't want to come in now. And I wouldn't want to have been so early that I failed.
Exactly. Exactly. Lucia says 20th century. Yes, it makes sense. It started in 1992. Great. ChatGPT. I don't want to say where would you travel with ChatGPT because I think it would deviate the conversation. All right, folks. So I'm gonna give you years that companies that founders who sold these technologies founded companies and became billionaires. Mattresses, 2014. Glasses, 2010. MP3, 2006. Razors, 2011. Fashion, 2009. And transportation, public transportation, 2012. And I'm going to go to the examples. Casper, we're going to go deeper into this one because mattress. Who thinks of selling mattresses, in this decade? That's crazy. Warby Parker. Warby Parker saw that there was a major, almost a monopoly in the world, which is called Luxottica, with 90 something percent of the market. But they had some friction. You needed to wear the glasses, you needed to go to an optometrist, get a formula, they would need to measure your eyes, whatever. And they found a way in which they created an amazing customer experience to buy glasses. They would send the frames to your house. You would, look in the mirror. Oh, look good. I like this frame. You would return the frames to Warby Parker, and in 15 days, they would send a pair of glasses to your doorhouse. Spotify. This is an amazing example. Spotify was able to sell us something that was free. I don't know how many of you had Napster, LimeWire. We all destroyed our computers with viruses by downloading free music. Yeah, it was illegal. There was a debate, but music was freely available. And Spotify built such an amazing customer experience. They changed the way in which we experience music in a way that they could charge us for something that was free. It's amazing, right? It's like somebody comes with air and starts selling us air because they found a new way to breathe, right? The Dollar Shave Club. There's a lot of friction in buying razors. You go to a supermarket, they're always behind doors because people steal them and they're expensive. So when you wanted to buy shaving razors, you would have to go to, the person to open the doors for you. This person was busy. This person was angry. He didn't want to help you. You had to bring him. He had to go to the manager, pick up the keys, right? And open these glass doors for you so you could buy your razors. Tons of friction. The trunk club. They identified that there was a lot of friction in buying clothes. What should I wear? Does this go with this? So they would build, like, I don't know, you want to be a hipster? Here's your shirt, pants, whatever. And they would send a trunk to your house with all the clothes selected for you. You could return what you didn't like. This was acquired by Nordstrom, I think, for $5 billion. And Lyft and Uber, there was a lot of friction. Taxis exist since, I don't know, a long time ago. This is not a new technology, but it was a service that had a lot of friction. In California, if you wanted a taxi, you needed to call 1 hour before time. 1 hour to pick you up. You would have to wait for the person and they would charge you for, getting there and then bring you back. And people would drive horribly. The smell in the cab. There was a lot of friction. And Uber identified this and removed all the friction to a century-old technology just to become a multiple times unicorn, right? Alex, I don't want to ask you how that computer ended, but definitely. Now Spotify doesn't hurt your computers. So, what I really want to convey today, that today innovation is not about what you sell, it's how you sell it and how you service your customers. And I'm going to give you some examples on how we remove frictions from our processes, right? Before, we had full service. If you needed anything, you needed to speak to a human being who was available not all the time, only 9 to 5. And if you wanted to use our products, you needed to buy them, right? Nowadays, we do efforts to remove the need to speak to a human. Our customers can do self-serve. And this, since it's self-serve, they're available 24/7. And we also built a freemium model so our potential customers could get a glance at our product before buying. Before, people told us that, hey, your product needs to be 10 times better than the competition. But today, it is your customer experience that needs to be 10 times lighter than the competition. Think of the new banks, the neobanks, right? Banking has been in the world for 600 years, since the Medici, in Florence in the Quattrocento. Well, 600 years after that, after this technology had been created, we still have unicorns, such as Nubank, right, from Brazil, that only made the banking experience a better experience. And that was enough. The product is the same. The product has been there for centuries, but it is the customer experience that allowed them to become unicorns. Before, there was a lot of involvement from the sellers in purchasing. Now, there's a lot of automation involved in purchasing. Now, imagine with ChatGPT what this is going to become. It's going to be 5% seller, 95% technology. In the better product era, we invested in technologies to improve employee efficiency. Now, we're investing in increasing the customer efficiency. This is also something that is going to reduce the handoffs, because technology allows to assign the right person to the right problem, as opposed to calling a bank or communication provider, and you talk to a salesperson and they send you to an engineer, and the engineer doesn't know, so they send you to a manager. This can be reduced through automation, and it removes a lot of friction from your process. And I want to dig deeper in Casper. How did they do it? Casper was a newfound company that sold mattresses. And they had a good product, they had a great product, but also they completely disrupted how people purchased mattresses. I don't know how many of you have purchased mattresses in the last 5 years, but there's a lot of friction in that process. I remember buying my mattress back when I lived in Bogota. You had to jump in your car, go through traffic. If you're in Bogota, you go through traffic. You have to find parking. It's horrible. You go to a store. The store is very ugly. It's not nice. The people are not nice. They're not nice sellers. And then you would sit in a corner of, a mattress, and by sitting there, because you wouldn't dare putting your ears against that, by sitting there, you would make a decision that will haunt you for the next 10 years. If your back hurt, you have to buy a new mattress. If you didn't like how it felt to sleep there after 1 week, you need to buy another mattress. So there was a lot of friction and misinformation when buying mattresses. So Casper saw this, and they would send the mattress to your house. So no friction in going to the store, no friction in finding parking. You would unpack this mattress and you would have uh, around 100 nights to make the decision to purchase it. So you would really try the mattress as opposed to sitting on a corner and doing little jobs. You would be able to sleep there. A lot of friction removed from it. And also, they had a support team, a customer support team that was available 24/7. But look at this. This is something very amazing in the details of this customer support. They are not called mattress experts. They're not called customer support. They are called sleep specialists. And this is tremendously important. Why? Because they are aligned with the goals of the customers, not the product. They know about sleep. They don't know as much about mattresses. So they're going to help the customers sleep better, right? So think about it. When you align the goals of the customers with the goals of your organization, you're going to be removing a lot of friction. What are the results of this? So this is a tweet from a Casper customer, not a marketer, not a salesperson. Casper, I want to be the best friends with your customer support person who helped me this week. Best customer support ever, because I didn't do the sleep specialist, Casper mattress. But who is Miles, the one who wrote this? It's customer. Do you trust this person? Yes, he has no incentive. Casper didn't pay him to write this. He doesn't get money if he sells Casper mattresses. He's just doing it to help people understand what a great product is. So this is the power of the flywheel. You want your customers to have results. 1 million mattresses sold, and Casper was valued at $5 billion. Can you imagine this guy talking to a VC? Hey, Andreessen Horowitz. Hey, Sequoia. Yes, I have this startup. I'm selling mattresses. I can't think of how many times this guy got doors shut from VCs and investors who are now regretting everything after this. So my question to you is, how are you putting your customers first? Okay. Remember, this is my call to action, that HubSpot has a startup program. If you are a startup, if you're an entrepreneur, you can apply to our program to get more resources and a special pricing for you. Thank you so much. I wanted to open the chat or maybe the mic for questions, comments, anything that you can bring. More than happy to discuss.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rafael. Great presentation. In the meantime, that everybody can think about the question, I'll encourage everybody to speak up. I'd like to get us started. My question is, now that everything is automated, and basically we get all the time, I'm getting like 100 emails, for when it comes to inbound, marketing and sales, in particular from softwares and all this. How do you stand out, right? And I would say, how do you stand out in particular for us who are in the consulting and innovation training and certification type of business? And if we try this type of, marketing and sales approach, how do we stand out from others?
That's a fantastic question, because people right now are, there's a notion of information, and we get 1,000 emails, and we get 1,000 calls and messages and everything. So how do we stand out in that? And when we talk about innovation, I want to say that a lot of you have heard about design thinking, right? And design thinking for products is a way that you are going to do like an anthropological study, very detailed study on how people use the product to design them? What is the true use, right? How do you observe them? Something like ideal does, right? And when you're building content, whether it is marketing, emails, advertisements, all that, you need also to put a hat on design thinking. Why? Because the way that inbound works, the inbound methodology of marketing, is that we have to create value through our marketing so that we stand out. So people, audiences, need to receive value from our marketing and sales process. And that's the way that we stand out. And how do you do it? It's a process of empathy. It's a process of understanding who your customers are, understanding what their goals are, understanding what challenges they have, and designing your marketing as if it was a product. It is oriented to solve a goal, to help these people. And with that value, you're going to get those emails opens.
In the meantime that we are waiting for people, I think another question that I have, and maybe let's focus, for example, at HubSpot, right? Since we are clients, what are some tips, for a successful campaign, from the beginning till the end, in the moment that you prepare for this lead generation, opening leads to closing, this lead. So from what you have seen, what should be some tips that you can use to have a successful campaign? How long it should be, if there are some standards on that?
Yeah, so I mean, your campaign, we try to build a lot of content that is going to be evergreen. Evergreen means that it never or almost never expires, and when it does, it requires like little tweaking to be, to be new, to be innovative. So when we do inbound, is not about. It could be about specific campaigns that would be related to maybe a new technology that we want to launch. It could also mean that we have a new buyer persona, for example, and we're building a new campaign to address that buyer persona. Mm-hmm. So it depends a lot on how long the technology lasts. Mm-hmm. How long do you want to launch it until it is well incorporated into the market, right? So it could be, I don't know, a month, right? It could be 2 months if it takes longer to adopt. But the good thing about inbound is that since you're not paying for advertisement as much, but you're building content, that content and those campaigns will live forever in your digital ecosystem, right? And they're going to be bringing leads and bringing traffic forever. You only need to keep up to date to make sure that the content that you have is up to date as well, right?
Okay, but still, just to close this thing, is there like an ideal number, golden number, for example, when you send these automated emails to a lead, to a specific lead? Let's say we have an HR manager and we have, let's say, an assessment, innovation potential assessment as a product to assess the human talent and to see what are the gaps so they can train, to assess their innovation mindset and know-how and all this. And we are doing a campaign about that. We have the database of all HR managers in US, for example, and we start doing that. What's, the number that we send emails to this one person? And what are some tips for success on that?
It depends a lot on how this particular person is interacting with your content. So how we do it, for example, is that everyone on our database is going to get newsletters, is going to get content that is meant for them. If they're a marketing director, if they're a sales manager, for example, they're going to be receiving content from us that is valuable for them. And this never expires unless they tell us that they don't want more content, right? Unsubscribe. But the key differentiator is when we want to invest sales resources in them, because our marketing, it's automated. It doesn't require a lot of marginal costs, but the sales team should spend their time working with the leads that are closer to closing, right? So depending, and that's where we want to make a decision whether to spend resources on these leads, sales resources, or just have them in the database, right there, receiving content. And this is more related to where in the buying process this lead is. If this lead is giving signals that they want to purchase, that they understand the product, that they have been talking about pricing, maybe they've been consuming resources about pricing, then maybe we want to bring this lead to a salesperson that and invest that resource in closing that deal, in creating the deal and closing it, right? But if this person, and this, I'm just telling you how we do it at HubSpot. We do an initial call in which the salesperson is going to understand if the other person is ready to buy, if the lead is ready to buy or is a good fit. And when they're not, they recycle the lead. That means that they send them back to the marketing process, right? They send them back to being nurtured by marketing content, by automation. This person might move forward because of that in their buying process and return to the sales process again, right? So it's more on the behaviors that we're seeing on our database. If they're interacting with content, if that content shows that they are sophisticated and moving forward in their sales process, that's when we start talking to them. We have one initial call to qualify them. If they're qualified, they enter our sales process, and we're going to have, I don't know, maybe three calls with them to move the deal forward and close it, right? I don't know if I answered your question, but it's kind of how the process goes.
Yeah, no, I can go over and over again to explore more deeper this topic, but I would like to leave the floor to Ron. Ron is raising his hand and has a question. Ron, please.
So my question is kind of related, Rafael, to what you were just talking about, the boundary or the transition between marketing and sales. So I'd like to, in fact, ask not only of you, but the other CTPs that are on the line. It seems to me that we have we as GIMI and IXL have a global network of customers who have now become ambassadors for GIMI and IXL. And my question is, how soon can we involve them in the process so that there's a human touch, a personal call, so when we send out something, we say, we have people in your region who have recently experienced this and would love to share their experience if you'd like to talk to them. Because I think, to Arila's point, I think people are inundated by automated requests and would love the opportunity to have a 30-second or 2-minute call with somebody who has actually experienced it, back to your customer centricity and kind of customer connection. So I'm curious what your view is and what our CTP's view is about when we use our ambassador network as customers to become part of the marketing or sales process, but it's kind of the interface between marketing and sales. So CTPs feel free to respond as well. Do you understand my question, Rafael? It's when do we bring human beings into the process?
And you're talking about our customers or salespeople?
I'm talking about people who are a little bit of both. We're talking about people who have been customers and who are now ambassadors. they're trying to obviously build their own business in their own countries, but who probably the marginal cost of spending 5 minutes on a phone call is just worth it to get exposure in the region to what they're doing. So they're willing and able to do this 1 or 2 minute or 3 minute call. And it seems to me that complementing automated outreach outbound is a good idea where we can. But I'd like maybe you feel we can still do even that with an automated capability.
So we seldom involve current customers in the sales process through us, right? We involve them in the flywheel in a way that, you know, our customers are going to be learning a lot about HubSpot. We make sure that they get value from HubSpot and that they grow with HubSpot, so they become promoters and ambassadors, right? And they will be the ones talking to colleagues and, you know, use HubSpot, whatever. So that's the way that we involve them. So it's not very official or done through HubSpot, but it's just that we want to offer great service and also to help them reach those goals. And if they reach their goals, the goals that they wanted to reach with our product, then they will be the ones promoting HubSpot, right? So that's one way in which we involve them. But how we decide to involve a human being is through an automated process where there could be different behaviors or triggers. One trigger is that the person says, I want to talk to a human being. That's one trigger. And it's the customer saying, hey, bring a salesperson to the equation, right? I want to talk about your product. So that's one trigger. Other triggers would be, for example, if there's a potential customer that landed on our pricing page that is, you know, consuming content about how much our product costs, what our product configuration would be ideal for them. This is a very hot lead, and he probably needs the help from a human being to help them understand our product. So when that happens, the sales owner of this account is going to get a notification. Hey, your lead it's sitting right now at the pricing page of HubSpot. Here's the phone number. Here's his email. Give them a call. So the salesperson will proactively reach out to them either via email or via phone, just to ask them if they need help in making a decision, right? And those are the automations that we have that mainly will get triggered either by the customer behavior inside our digital ecosystem or by the customer proactively asking to talk to somebody. But what we do is that we put those options everywhere for him to find. If a customer wants to talk to sales, this is a hot lead. We need to have all the infrastructure available to make it easier for them. So we have call to actions everywhere. Every email that we send will have a call to action. We'll have you know, links to set up a meeting, to request a meeting to salespeople. And we never forget to do this, because a lot of companies forget to do this. And then somebody wants to have a sales conversation and they don't find how to do it, right? And you can lose a customer just because they didn't find that link. They didn't find that call to action.
Thank you, Rafael. Emilio has a question as well, and it's kind of related also to one that I have. Is asking, what are the next disruptions, you know, that you are foreseeing to happen in your platform? So we are talking right now what HubSpot or Salesforce or other competing platforms can do, right? But what are the next 3 things who are going to shape even more, you know, sales and marketing, making maybe faster, you know, easier? What do you foresee, basically? Not only for HubSpot, but in general.
Yeah, no, right now, I think that we are in a position where we don't even know what we don't know, which is the intelligence, the artificial intelligence are coming to play a major role in marketing, in sales, and customer service. I think we're very early to even imagine a scenario, right? Because this is gonna, I mean, it's still a platform, right? When the internet was just born, nobody would imagine the iPhone, right? Nobody would imagine that phones would become computers. So we're still very early to being able to foresee something. But what I think is that how marketing has evolved in the recent years is that we used to pay somebody to impose an advertisement in another person, right? Hey, watch this. Today, the inbound methodology became more about offering value. So people would land on the content, right? I am a marketer that doesn't know why my website doesn't have traffic. So I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to search and I'm going to find an article about it. And a lot of the marketing has become a search engine optimization, that Google presents our content in the first results, which is very important. With ChatGPT, I think we are evolving into a place where it's going to be a lot more about the value, the true value, than the keywords or the message. It's gonna, if we want this artificial intelligence, they're gonna be really good at finding the right solution for the audience. So the focus is gonna be in becoming the right solution or the best solution out there, so that these AIs will find us and recommend us, right? I think it's one of the verticals that is going to be very important. Is we're going to be looking a lot more in authenticity, in really providing value.
Got it. Do we have any other question from the audience here or comment? Okay, great. Rafael, I would like to impose another, it is more like an open invitation. So GIMI is like a certifying body on innovation management. It's a non-for-profit. We have a social mission about reaching 1 million people certified on innovation management, because we believe that this would make the world a better place to live. And we are trying, to use all the tactics, how we can reach this goal in the next 4 or 5 years, right? Which is about, might be individuals, might be B2C, B2B. We are trying with Grayson going to high schools. This is more like a B2B and a little bit more complicated. But beside that, we have also professionals, leaders, big companies that we want to pursue this strategy. Can HubSpot, or has HubSpot a window how can help organizations like ours who have a social mission and have a little bit of different type of business to reach this goal?
I mean, what is your goal? What is your main goal? Bringing more members, impacting more people with education?
Is what I mentioned, increasing the number of certified people all over the world. It's like we have the goal of 1 million, and it's B2C and B2B. We are doing this with our partners around the world, but how we can find, let me simplify, how we can find more multipliers to do that, but how we can go directly B2C, to more professionals or more leaders who can get certified on this. Because we believe if we reach this large number, it will be easier than to spread out these standards and to go to the next level.
Mm-hmm. So many ways. When you say HubSpot, do you mean the tool or do you mean the company?
Both.
Both. Okay, so the tools will, the way that we reach out and bring audiences to our ecosystem is going to be about creating value for them before selling them something, right? That's kind of the inbound principle. And using this methodology that, of course, would need a backup, such as a software tool, a platform as HubSpot, we need to understand who do we want to bring to that customer database, with who do we want to attract, really understand their goals, their challenges, and start building value towards that through content. If our leads, more than B2B, B2C, more relevant is to these audiences that we want to attract, how much do they educate themselves before making a purchase decision or a donation decision or a subscription decision? How much information they look for, right? If we talk about the HubSpot customer personas, a lot, because a director of marketing, before buying a CRM or a marketing automation platform, is going to consume a lot of content. So inbound works very well for this, because we're going to be providing that content to help that person in specific. So it works. It works if people take time to make a decision, right? I would say that's one of the sweet spots of HubSpot. And as a company, I mean, we have a lot of programs. I work in partnerships, for example, and working in partnerships is fantastic because it's a way in which you understand really well what the value of other companies offer, and you find ways in creating value for both companies. So we do partnerships with plenty of organizations that will help us bring the knowledge and experience that we have as HubSpot to entrepreneurs, to startups, for example. This is the case of our program. And they're going to get also value from providing content and providing insight, right? So that's, I would say that we do partnerships with plenty of organizations, and that could be potential, vertical of exploring.
Okay, great. Rafael, to wrap up this session, what would be like last 2 cents basically that you want everybody to take away from your speech today?
Absolutely. And, something that I see I work a lot with the entrepreneurial ecosystems, and I don't judge anybody for this, but I work a lot with people who are very technical, are very about the technology, developers, engineers, and they fall in love with the product. And they believe that growth will come from a product that is disruptive, from a product that is going to break the world, from a technology that is going to break the world. But more and more, and more than ever, the message of the Flywheel is that to achieve growth, you don't have to disrupt the technology. You have to disrupt the customer experience. And technology is a part of this. Technology helps you disrupt that customer experience. So that's kind of what the Flywheel is all about, and about these examples that I was bringing to you.
Great. Thank you very much, Rafael. We are bringing this broadcasting and live streaming to the end. It was such a great presentation, very enlightening, and hopefully we can have a more in-depth, discussion for the partnerships. As I mentioned, we are using HubSpot, but we need to leverage it more and use it in the right way. Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Rafael.